Hello and welcome to 10 Minute Tabletop. I'm Devin.
And I'm Darren.
And here are the biggest stories from tabletop gaming from the past week in 10 minutes or less, so you can get back to playing the game. First up, Critical Role has announced an open beta playtest of their new tabletop RPG, Daggerheart. Now, Daggerheart will balance the hope and fear as a mechanic that represented by their own 12-sided die system, and character abilities are tied to cards.
Yeah, and this will all be coming out on March 12th. You can find all the playtest materials like PDFs, compendiums, all on their official Daggerheart website. The Critical Role YouTube channel will also be launching their own guide videos, and the cast itself will be doing a live stream of the Daggerheart game on their YouTube channel as well.
There are a lot of eyes on Critical Role and Daggerheart, and that is because a lot of the online discourse around Daggerheart, MCDM, and Tales of Valiant are the D&D killers. There's this idea that after the OGL, all of these different kind of publishers have come up and said, hey, we're going to make a new fantasy tabletop RPG that'll be the D&D killer. And that's not what these people are talking about. Like MCDM isn't saying that, the Tales of Valiant isn't saying that, and Critical Role, Darrington Press aren't saying that this is a D&D killer. That's just like what the online discourse is about this.
And what people are waiting to see, like, will this be the new thing that takes over for D&D?
But here's the thing. I mean, D&D is massive. I don't think there's actually going to be a true D&D killer, right? Because D&D, I mean, it's the 50th anniversary. They're so massive, but that means there's also a lot of expectation put on these games because of that online discourse. So I'm very interested to see like how people react to this playtest, how it performs for Darrington Press.
Yeah.
In our next story, Terry Pratchett's Discworld is getting its first new tabletop RPG in over 25 years.
Yes, a new Discworld RPG was announced by Modiphius, the British role-playing publisher known for its TTRPG adaptations of Star Trek and Dune and more. And the upcoming RPG will be created with the backing of Pratchett's estate, with Modiphius saying that the tabletop game will honor the humor, satire, and darkly entertaining fantasy series, which was reported by Dicebreaker.
And why is this important? This is, again, we talk about this almost every week, it feels like, another massive, huge IP. I mean, the Discworld series are not only beloved, but vast.
Yeah.
But every time we see a book series, every time we see a movie or a TV show that's a video game that's getting its own kind of tabletop RPG adaptation, it just says like how rabid fans are for these types of games. But here's my question. What is the next thing that's going to get an adaptation?
It does make you think, like, what is next for the new IP partnership, right? Like, and I want to know actually what you guys think. Like, what is the big franchise, the show, the series, whatever, that's going to be the next TTRPG collaboration?
Yeah, leave us a comment on what you think the next tabletop RPG adaptation. D&D Beyond has released a dev update to their maps VTT and have hinted at some upcoming third-party releases.
Yes, the update talked about new and upcoming features alongside support for the upcoming 2024 book releases on its VTT. They've also teased out that the third-party content has done very well on the platform, and there is more to come.
So we know that Humblewood, Dungeons of Drakheim, the Dungeon Dudes setting for D&D and 5e, these have all done really well for them. So has the Critical Role third-party content. And this is kind of what they've said. We don't really know how well it's doing, but in the dev update, they've teased out. And this is all about like D&D Beyond moving to a managed third-party marketplace. You're going to probably see in a year or 2 years, you're going to see probably 20, 30, 40, 50 different creators and publishers using the D&D Beyond virtual tools. Why I think this is really important is because we're seeing that shift with D&D Beyond. And like we said last week, is this showing that Wizard of the Coast is being more collaborative? And of course, it's good for the players in the sense that they have these digital tools to use, but it's also great for Wizard of the Coast bottom line by having these tools bring in new players to use their virtual tabletop and to use their digital tools like D&D Beyond.
Yeah, and as we mentioned in our story last week, they said themselves that the money is going to be coming from the partnerships that they do for their D&D and Wizards of the Coast partnerships.
Yeah. Here's what I want to ask you, viewer, listener. Why does Wizard of the Coast have essentially going to have two virtual tabletops? They have D&D Beyond Maps, which seems to be like this lightweight virtual tabletop, very akin to something like Owlbear Rodeo. But then they have the 3D Unreal Engine virtual tabletop that they're planning to release later this year, next year. Is it that they're trying to like service two different users? The the user that wants this 3D experience, much like Baldur's Gate 3, or is it that they want to hedge their bets? I want to know what you think. Why does it seem like they have have 2 virtual tabletops that they plan to release.
If they do it all, they can't fail, Devin, right? Right?
Hey, want to take a quick moment to thank you for tuning in to 10-Minute Tabletop. We want to talk about today's sponsor, StartPlaying.Games. StartPlaying.Games is the largest site for finding games, groups, and game masters that can fit your schedule. They even have reviews of game masters so you can find one that fits your play style. All right, now back to the news. And for our last story, Dropout has announced a Fantasy High fundraiser for Gaza.
Yay. Yeah, Dropout is going to auction off minis and set pieces from Fantasy High Season 1 in support.
According to Dropout's announcement, 100% of the proceeds will be going to the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund.
Awesome.
In total, we'll be auctioning off about 85 minis, maxis, and tableaus. We'll also be sending out giveaway minis to random Dropout subscribers signed up for the newsletter. 100% of the profits generated by the auction will go to the Palestine Children's Relief Fund, an incredible organization that provides aid towards the humanitarian crisis in Palestine. To learn more about the PCRF, head over to pcrf.net, and for information about how best to advocate for a ceasefire in Gaza, head over to ceasefire-now.com.
And if you like the show, make sure to like, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Or head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/TotalPartyChill. There you can also keep updates on the show and find out about our latest giveaways.
Our show is a production of Total Party Chill Studios.
With editing and sound by Viacheslav Zhiradkov, and our content editor is Sergio Solorzano. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.